You are Locked On Heat Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Turn off the heat. The party is over in Boston. What's up, Heat fans? My name is Jim Greasehopper. Call me Grease. Welcome to your Locked On Heat Postcast, last one of this 2023-2024 season, and it does not end well for Miami in Boston. Locked On Heat Postcast. Want to thank you for making the Locked On Heat Postcast your first listen every day, along with Locked On Heat, right? We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is, of course, your team every single day. And tonight's show, your Locked On Heat Postcast, is presented by FanDuel. You know how I love FanDuel, right? You hear me talk about them every day on the shows, but you can make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 on a winning $5 bet. With any winning $5 bet, you get a $150 bonus. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And man, oh man, the Miami Heat got smoked tonight. There's no other way to put it, guys. No other way to put it. They go into Boston for Game 5. It's 114-84, the final, 118-84 ended up being the final 32-point victory. They led by as many as 37 points. The Boston Celtics trailed for a total, are you ready for this? A total of 56 seconds in games 3, 4, and 5. The Heat had the lead for a grand total of 56 seconds in games 3, 4, and 5, including tonight for the brief moment at the start of the game. But the Celtics have been red hot, man. They just scorched Miami right off the floor in this game tonight. And that's, something that the Heat knew going into this series and into this game tonight in particular. They had no room for error, right? Literally zero room for error. And they had to shoot the lights out again like they did in game 2, 53.5% from beyond the arc, but not tonight. Not tonight. Boston came out on fire, and you give the Celtics a lot of credit, right? They clinched the series on their home floor. Miami's had some success in Boston recently, right? In the playoffs especially, and, last year they won some games there, but the Celtics have killed them in Miami. So you're going back and you're thinking the Celtics have a little bit of history here when they should stomp on the gas. They kind of, let teams up and let them have another life, and not tonight, baby. If you're a Celtics fan, you're feeling really good right now. And by the way, pumped to have you here with us as well. I can see it. We're Locked On Sports Miami. We're Locked On Sports Today, and we are Locked On NBA. So I'd like to welcome all of those audiences as well on the YouTubes and, of course, right here on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. But the Heat knew they had no margin for error coming into this game. They knew they had to shoot the lights out again to win tonight, and they knew that they needed a small miracle. Well, it wasn't going to happen. You give the Celtics all the credit in the world. What did championship teams do in this situation? What did the Michael Jordan Bulls do? What did the Steph Curry Warriors do? What did the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, the 80s Celtics and Lakers, what did they do when they had a team down, when it's an elimination game? You're going back to your home floor. Did they get complacent? Did they take their foot off the gas? No, they did not. They came out and they took care of business, and that's what Boston did tonight. Give them all the credit in the world. They came out on fire again, and look, Boston makes their threes. They're not losing. I don't care who they play. I do not care who they play. Mark this down right now. If the Boston Celtics hit their three-pointers consistently throughout the playoffs, they will not lose. They will not probably even be tested in the Eastern Conference playoffs if they play their game. If they play their game and they shoot the threes and they're flying all over the floor like they were tonight. Look, Jayson Tatum was average these last couple of games for him, right? He had 16 and 12 rebounds tonight, 16 points. But the last couple of games, he went from 20 to 16. And before that, he was scoring 28 a game, 30 a game. So Jayson Tatum, as a star for the Celtics, didn't even have to put in the heavy work these last couple of games. Derrick White did it for him. Tonight, Jaylen Brown did it for him. And they scored 25 points apiece. Derrick White has been phenomenal. And the Celtics did not even miss. They didn't even miss as they stomped on the throat of the Heat from the opening whistle tonight. And that was it. They stomped on their throat. They gave them no chance. They took the life right out of them. They met them at the city limits and said, no, go home, Miami. You're done. And that's it. And they stomped them out. They grabbed him by the throat, they stomped him out, and that was the end for Miami. They never had a prayer in this game. That is what cold-blooded killers do, and that's what championship teams are. They're cold-blooded killers. Maybe the Celtics have finally turned that corner. Maybe the Celtics have finally turned that corner. And again, if they hit their threes, they're not losing. They are not losing when they shoot like they did tonight from three. And I'll give you the numbers momentarily, but really the numbers don't tell the story. It's just the way that the Celtics are playing, the mindset to smoke the Heat the way that they did from the get-go. Miami came out ice cold. Listen to this, guys. The Heat shot 3 for 16 from three-point land in the first half. 3 for 16. That's pretty bad, right? Really bad. 3 for 16. 1 for 7. Tyler Herro. Shout out, Tyler. No Herro ball tonight, but you know, he was outgunned and the Heat were undermanned, and it was just tough, man. When you don't have your superstar and Jimmy Butler's drawing double teams, that leaves open shots for everyone, right? Well, all of a sudden, Butler's gone. They can play everybody straight up. They can help wherever they want. They can use their rotations however they want. And as long as they have a hand in the face of the Miami three-point shooters, things will not go well for the Heat. Well, guess what? 3 for 16 at the half. They didn't make a single three-pointer in the second half, guys. They finished 3 for 29. That's 10% from beyond the arc. You will not win a preteen game. You will not win a pickup game. You will not win a water basketball game when you shoot 3 for 29 from three-point land. There's never going to be a victory in your future when you shoot like that. And Miami was god-awful from beyond the arc tonight. Absolutely horrendous. And it was a bad night again for Tyler Herro. He ended up with 15, got a couple of buckets late, but not shooting well at all. I think he was, 6 for 18. A bad night for him. Nobody on the Heat made more than one three-pointer in this game. Not one player made more than one three-pointer in this game. And, you know, just kind of what it is for Miami. 3 for 16 at the half, 3 for 29 at the end of the game. And that is just unbelievable when you think about it, man. And it's just, that's not NBA basketball. It's really not. It's just not. And I know that it's hard to say, hey, they didn't have Jimmy, they didn't have Rozier, but you know what? Other teams have lost star players and made it through opening round series. Other teams have lost star players and figured out a way to get it done. And without Jimmy, he's the glue of this team. So if I'm Jimmy Butler and if I'm Jimmy Butler's agent, oh Lord, I'm in that sack right now because Jimmy Butler has 1 year left on his deal, right? And we just saw the value of Jimmy Butler over a 5-game series in which the Heat did not have his tenacity, his defense, his all-around game, rebounds, assists, his scoring in big bunches when you need it, and his willingness to go toe-to-toe and look Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the eye and say, I'm the big dog in this yard, guys, not you. The Heat had no one close, only Bam Adebayo. Shout out Bam, USA Olympic center. Drew Holiday and Bam. And how is Drew Holiday on the Olympic team over Kyrie Irving? Come on, Grant Hill. I know you went to Duke, but even you should be able to figure that out. But I don't understand it. I really don't. But Tatum and Holiday and Adebayo will go to the Olympics. Bam Adebayo with a big game for Miami tonight, and he had a really good series. Bam did 23 points. Tyler had 15. But again, you know, this is the first time the Heat have left the playoffs, their earliest exit since the conference final or prior to the conference finals. This is their first exit prior to the conference finals. How about that? Since 2021. And again, 3 for 29 from three-point range. Kristaps Porzingis was out for the Celtics. It didn't matter one bit. Strained his right calf. He's going to be out 10 days. So, you know, it's 3-2 Cleveland, and they're hoping Orlando wins game 6 to keep that series going into a 7-game series. But the Celtics going to have some time to rest, which could really help them later on. By the way, Jaime Jaquez Jr. sat out for the Heat. He suffered a hip injury in game 4. So no Butler, no Rozier, no Jaquez, but Porzingis, right? I mean, that's a big loss for the Boston Celtics. And Miami just too vulnerable on defense without Butler. The switches were off. The closeouts were off. And they spread them out. They knocked down 8 3-pointers in the first quarter. They started the second half on a 10-0 run. They just dominated every single phase. They badly out-rebounded the Heat tonight. And it's just, you know, the way you expected the season to end without Jimmy Butler in this series, right? I know game 2 gave you a little bit of hope. They hit the threes like crazy, 53.5%. You're never going to do that again. They make the adjustments, take away the 3. You go inside to Bam, he's scoring 23. It didn't even make a dent. But, you know, I actually think, and Jaylen Brown had 6 assists to go along with his 25 points, and Derrick White hit 5 threes. Sam Hauser added 17. Just a team effort for the Celtics. And, when you think about Boston and what it's going to take to beat this team, you're going to have to hold them way below what they like to do from three-point land. And tonight, when you think about Boston and you think about what they did in this series, I mean, their percentage from three-point land is absurd, right? They hit 22 threes in game number 1, tied a season high. They hit 18 tonight, and it's 16 rather. 16 out of 40. That's 40%. They shot 54.5% overall. And you're just not going to win many games against a team that does that. Look, 114 to 94, 104 to 84, 102 to 88, and 118 to 84. Those are blowout wins. Every single game they won was a blowout. Every single game was a blowout. I'm a little late to the break. You're watching the Locked On Heat postcast on your Locked On Sports Miami, on your Locked On NBA, and on your Locked On Sports Today channels on YouTube. Also, wherever you're listening to your podcast, happy to have you with us. Spotify, Apple Music, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, everywhere you get those podcasts. We just told you the results of the game. We're going to dig a little bit deeper. White hot Celtics. Derrick White. Man, there's a play on words there. I kind of like that one. But we'll talk about Derrick White and what he did stepping up in these last 2 games and how that might help the Celtics moving forward, what the Heat need to look to and look at as they head into the offseason. All that and more coming up on your Locked On Heat postcast tonight with me, Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. And your Locked On Sports, Locked On Heat postcast tonight. Man, what a ride it's been so far into the playoffs. Your Locked On Heat postcast rolls on in a minute. But first, we have some things we have to take care of, and I have been having a lot of fun with this one. DoorDash. I'm ordering DoorDash all the time. It's like an obsession. It's unbelievable. Just leave it at the door. Just, got whatever I need right there, right? Well, Mother's Day is coming up. It's on May 12th. 11 days. Oh, my God, 11 days. 11 days away. What are you going to do for Mother's Day? I'm telling you what you're going to do right now. You're going to calm down. You're going to chill. You're going to relax, and you're going to do whatever it is you like to do because you got DoorDash, and they got you covered for Mother's Day. Get something thoughtful for Mom this Mother's Day on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with a fresh bouquet, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. Get the thoughtful gifts she deserves. Shop with savings that would make her proud while you're doing it. With a Dash Pass membership, you'll save with a $0 delivery fee, not 1 red cent, right? And reduce service fees on eligible orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fees, apply. Other terms apply. But I'll tell you what, no matter what your mom's into, you can make her smile with DoorDash this Mother's Day. Order now and get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. And I'll tell you this, you can use the code LOCKEDONNBA right now. That's LOCKEDONNBA. You get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's LOCKEDONNBA. Order using DoorDash today. Terms, they do apply. And terms always apply, right? Terms always apply. Everywhere you go, they apply. Your Locked On Heat postcast rolling on. Turn off the heat. The season's over. Miami, they had that play in game 1 at Philadelphia. Jimmy gets hurt. Kelly Oubre lands on the knee. The ball fake. You could argue whether or not he should have done it. But you know what? Jimmy Butler, the Heat had that game. They would have beaten Philadelphia, and they would have moved on to play the Knicks. Who knows with the way Brunson's playing right now? Could they be better without Randall? There's a question for the Locked On Knicks guys. But I know for sure things would have been a lot different had Jimmy stayed healthy, right? They end up beating Philly. They play the Knicks. They were never going to beat the Celtics with or without Jimmy Butler, just like the Lakers were never going to beat the Nuggets. And everybody go, they could get the first round. No. Not going to happen. So everybody knew that without Jimmy Butler, the Heat didn't have a chance. But had they won that game in Philly, or even if Jimmy had stayed healthy, it'd have been a whole different ball game, right? But the Celtics are playing so well right now. This team is peaking. What a difference a year makes. They had Marcus Smart and Robert Williams a year ago. right? And they could not get the job done. What did they go and get? They went and got an all-world defensive point guard who's an Olympic team point guard in Jrue Holiday, one of the best pure point guards in the league, not a scorer, but they don't need him for that on the Celtics or on the Olympic team for that matter. Jrue Holiday, and then they get the 7-footer. Kristaps Porzingis. They will not win the NBA championship without him. I don't think they'll win the East without him. So that's a huge injury to keep your eyes on, and a big kind of like warning sign for the Celtics and their fans out there right now with Porzingis. They're not going to win without him. But those two moves, you get Holiday, you get Porzingis, and add them to the Tatum, Brown, and then you got a guy in Derrick White. I put it up there, white hot Celtics. This dude hit 5 threes today. He set a career high and a career playoff high in game 4. He came out tonight, and he would have had more if he wasn't sitting for the whole fourth quarter while they smoked Miami. So this guy is on fire. The Celtics are shooting lights out from 3, and they played through Derrick White quite a bit in these last 2 games. Now, look, they didn't do that very often during the season, and they're playing the hot hand. Joe Mazzulla's becoming a better coach, not a real good one in my opinion, not a great playoff coach, certainly. The in-game adjustments, he could be exposed by Eric Spoelstra night in and night out, but the Heat, again, they have nobody. When Bum Phillips said Don Shula could take his'n and beat your'n and your'n and beat his'n, yeah, that wasn't happen no matter who coached. You could have had Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, and Red Auerbach together on that sideline, and it wouldn't have made any difference for Miami. The talent level was that wide in disparity in the series against Boston, and you could see the overall game of Jayson Tatum. He's not forcing it anymore. Jaylen Brown played great tonight, man. He hit his shots. He's passing the ball, 6 assists. When he's going well, they're almost impossible to beat. Super, super great shooting from the Celts in this series. And, when you think about what makes this team go, it's athleticism and it's 3-point shooting. Their defense is number 2 in the league as well. They're going to be a real tough out. And the interesting thing about Boston is they can play through Tatum, they can play through Brown, they can play through Porzingis, and now they can play through Derrick White. So any given night, one of those 4 guys will have the hot hand. So, and the other thing that makes them very tough to beat is Kristaps Porzingis is 7-3. On offense, he plays the perimeter, hitting threes all night. On defense, he goes in the paint and blocks everything in the world. That's a really, really difficult matchup for anybody in the league, for a guy that tall. I mean, anybody not named Wemby, right? Or Jokic and maybe Luka, but that's about it, man. And I think that as you look at this Heat season, it was up, it was down. Jimmy missed a ton of games. Herro was out. Coming in and out of the lineup, guys were, and it just was not, they never really got it going. They never really got into a rhythm. They never really, Kyle Lowry was cut during the year, and they brought in other players during the year, and it didn't work out too well for Miami. And they missed the 3-point shooting of Max Strus for real. They missed that dude for real, and he was a big part of that run last year. So that wasn't going to happen with the 3-point shooting this year. And I will tell you about Boston when you think about what they do as a team. The ball movement is incredible. It's crisp. It's clean. They always hit the open man. They have a lot of range with shooters who can shoot threes all day long. Hauser is another one with Derrick White, and it's just bullseye after bullseye with this team. And Hauser even dunked one tonight. So I see them being a real tough out for anyone, especially with Porzingis. But, for Miami, that you can't hold your head down. You lost Jimmy Butler in the play-in game. Should you have been in the play-in game? Hell no, but Jimmy missed 25 games. It was a tough year. Miami is not an 8th seed in the Eastern Conference for sure. They're at least middle of the pack. But moving forward, and I'll talk about this in the final segment of the show, the Heat have some work to do this offseason. The Heat have some things to look at and take care of if they want to continue to be a powerful team and a powerhouse team in the NBA. Look, they made it to the finals in 2020 in the bubble. Lost to the Lakers there. Last year, they go to the finals, lose to Denver, beat the 8s. They beat the number 1 and the number 2 teams in the East to get to the finals last year. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Celtics back-to-back. And they just could not get it done in the finals. But what an impressive run it was a year ago. Bam Adebayo has continued to improve. He's an all-world center right now, literally playing in the Olympics. So what will the Heat need to do to get back to the top of the pack in the Eastern Conference and maybe make a title run next year? I'll have your answer, at least what I think could be the answer. Everyone on the Heat organization is laughing right now, but what I think could be the answer for the Heat when we roll on with your Locked On Heat postcast. It's on Locked On Sports Miami. We are on Locked On NBA, and we are on Locked On Sports Today, the show that is taking over the sports landscape, right? You watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Maybe you have to keep turning down the volume because everybody's screaming. You're like, hey, what's wrong with my ears here? Well, you can make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's free. It's 24/7. It's a sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Oh, baby, we're dangerous now. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game right now. Listen to this. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150. $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, FanDuel.com/lockedon, and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Locked On Heat postcast rolling on. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. So happy to have you with me. We've done a bunch of these as we started here. We do Locked On Marlins postcast every day. We do with Peter, who does Locked On Marlins. Nice little tandem there. With Wes, who does Locked On Heat. Nice tandem there. Locked On Dolphins postcast coming your way this fall. Locked On Miami Hurricanes football as well. I'll be hosting all those. Graduated the University of Miami, class of 96. Congrats to all the grads this month in Coral Gables and everywhere around the country. Stay safe with all those protests and everything out there on those campuses. But big time of year, and I'm so excited to be doing the University of Miami shows later this year here on Locked On, the new initiative that we rolled out with the Locked On postcasts, and I am very excited for that. But I really think that moving forward, the Miami Heat, and I thought they'd have a little bit of a deeper run. I honestly thought they were going to finish off that game in Philly with a win, and when they did that, I felt like that would propel them into the Knicks series, and I felt with Jimmy Butler healthy and Randall out for the Knicks, I felt like they match up pretty well with New York. You know the history. You know it's a blood war. You know what that would have done for the league and the ratings and the playoff. It would have been dope is what it would have been. But it didn't happen because Jimmy Butler got hurt and the Sixers were able to come back, and now they're locked in a tough series with the Knicks. And I think Miami would have won that with a healthy Jimmy Butler. And you never know if the knee was ready to give out anyway, and it could have been, just a matter of time. And I think that you can't really look at the what ifs too much because every year you have the what ifs, right? Every single year you have those what ifs. It happens all the time. What if Dwayne Wade, that last year of the Heatles, wasn't a shell of his former self because of injuries? There's always the what ifs, and they happen all the time, right? And we have a comment from Danny DeVito, who loves limoncellos at Prime 112. Dirty Heat team taken out by injuries, ? Couldn't have written it better. Yeah, they got a little bit of a reputation for sure. Thanks for watching, Danny DeVito. And that was great seeing Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Oscars this year, kind of reliving the Twins movie. And so I am excited. Danny DeVito's in Miami all the time, by the way. I'm excited to see the Heat are going to be at Prime 112, like later on. But it's when you look at Miami moving forward, that's what I want to get into as we wrap up the show here. Locked On Heat postcast, Locked On Sports Miami, Locked On Sports Today, and Locked On NBA, as well as wherever you get your podcast audio version, right? Or as the Heat call it, audio experience. Miami Heat audio experience. Shout out Jason Jackson, Amy Adebayo, and of course my guy Eric Reed, who's just been there forever. So with Miami for the coming season, you got Jimmy Butler, right, at $48 million, almost $49 million. It's 34% of the cap, and then the luxury tax obviously is huge for them. You got Bam at 34.8, maybe a little bit more. You got Tyler Herro at $29 million a year. Terry Rozier's at almost 25. He didn't play in this series with the neck. Duncan Robinson's almost $20 million a year. Then you got Caleb Martin, 7, Kevin Love, 4, Jaquez at 3.6, Richardson, Bryant, Jovic, the youngster, at a little over 2, and Orlando Robinson a little over $2 million. So Jimmy Butler at $48 million. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and it's the Heat are always in a good position salary cap wise, but moving into next year, they don't have a lot of wiggle room to do anything. And that's something, and we'll do, you'll get a lot more of this on Locked On Heat too, as well. You'll get a lot more of this on Locked On Heat, but they're way above the salary cap and the luxury tax with $178.5 million. They're way above it. And they're above the luxury tax line, which is 165, and then the salary cap, which is 136. They can't use the mid-level exception. They couldn't use it this year. So that was something that, that maybe hurt them a little bit, because the mid-level exception is a place where you've gotten some really good players in the past. And so moving forward, Jimmy Butler's healthy. Do you think, and this is a great question, Heat fans, do you think that your Miami Heat are capable of making another deep run? Look, I'm just going to be honest with you. They did and the bubble was the bubble, and it was a battle of attrition every year in the NBA playoffs. But with COVID and with all that rest, I don't think there was any way the Lakers with Anthony Davis and LeBron would have made it through had it been that regular setup. The bubble helped a lot of those teams, the Heat culture and how close they are. That really helped them in there. You don't go to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021. And then, of course, 2 years ago you do. And then last year you beat Boston and you beat Milwaukee, the number 1 and the number 2 seeds, go to the finals. But you were an 8th seed. Now, the seedings don't matter as much as they used to. There's no 3-game playoff series in the beginning, not even 5. So you're seeing it now. I mean, the Heat had to play the Celtics in the first round, and the Lakers played the Nuggets. Now, there's no way the Lakers and the Heat are 8 seeds. They are in the middle of the pack, but it didn't work out well for other teams. So for Miami, they're a middle of the pack team in the East. You really think Cleveland and Orlando are better than Miami if Jimmy Butler's healthy all year and they play to their capability? Do you really think those teams are better than the Heat? Do you think the Knicks are better than the Heat if Miami's healthy all year long and, the whole load management stuff is not a factor? I don't believe that those teams are. I think the Heat are a 4 or 5, maybe even a 3 seed. And going into next year with the improvement of Bam Adebayo and the greatness of Jimmy Butler, what is missing for this team? I love that they brought in Terry Rozier. Right. So I think he's going to be, it's going to be nice to see what he does with this team with a full year, if indeed he's here next year. And I think he will be. But Bam Adebayo's continued improvement, one of the top centers in the game. Tyler Herro's locked in on that deal. He's very inconsistent. He has games where he shoots the lights out and can carry you in stretches. And then he has games like tonight. He starts 1 for 9 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, finishes 6 for 18, 1 for 9 from 3. And Tyler Herro, is it 1 for 9 or 1 for 7? Whatever it was. But Tyler Herro has got to step it up. He's a defensive liability. He turns the ball over too much. And when he's cold, he went a quarter and a half without scoring in the second and third quarters of game 4. He just gets exposed by the elite 2 guards in this league. And at $29 million a year for a 2 guard, they paid him into that deal so that he would continue to improve and get better. Tyler Herro has got to be that Heat guy this offseason who takes a giant leap forward. It's got to be Tyler Herro. It's got to be. It's got to be him. He's got to do it. Jaquez will get better. I'm excited to see what this dude's got looking in the future for him. I mean, you'd love to get Duncan Robinson off the books as soon as possible, and that's something that'll happen sooner rather than later. And I just, wow, man, it is. That's a lot of money for Duncan Robinson. I don't mean to pick on him. Kevin Love's a great guy to have around. He's like the UD role now more than anything on that bench coaching. But Richardson's been out, Rozier and Jaquez. So Richardson coming back will help them too. And I'm anxious to see the development of Bryant and as he moves forward. So that's going to be fun. But it's got to be Caleb Martin has to be more consistent. But it's got to be, and Jovic, I can't wait to see what he does, the young kid. He's shown flashes, right? But Tyler Herro has to be the guy. Tyler has to be the guy to step it up. Show up, show out, ball out. Tyler Herro. And no Herro ball is the end of the rundown right there. That means the show is over. Thank you for being here, Heat fans. And thank you for watching all of your Locked On Miami Heat postcasts as we have taken you through the end of the season, which came way too soon, admittedly. And I've had a lot of fun with you here, Locked On Sports Miami, Locked On Sports Today, Locked On NBA, as well as wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Music, iHeart, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, whatever the case may be. But end of the day, it was a successful season for Miami. They made the playoffs. It wasn't what you thought it would be, but given all the injuries, given all the things they went through, lots to build on for the future. It's got to be Tyler Herro and the continued improvement. Watch Bam after he goes to the Olympics again, playing with those dudes all summer, how good he is when training camp starts, and that step forward even more for next year. So that's going to do it. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. I only have one thing to do, and you know what I'm going to do about this time. I just want to remind you, after thanking you for being here and reminding you to keep your game tight and your mind right, Heat fans. Turn off the heat. The party's over. Celtics 118, Heat 84. Celtics win the Eastern Conference first round series 4-1. Thank you very much. I'm out.